The space station was always busy. Bright lights, loud voices, and the sound of machines filled the long metal corridors. Aliens of many shapes and colors walked side by side, trading goods, speaking strange languages, and moving in a hurry too. Their own business? To a human visitor, this place felt like another world. Among the crowds, one young human walked slowly. His name was Daniel. He looked around with curiosity in his eyes, trying to understand this alien culture. He had been on the station for only 2 days, and everything still felt strange. Every time he turned a corner, he saw something new strange. Creatures with 4 arms, merchants selling glowing fruits, and even children playing with floating toys. But what caught Daniel's attention most was a figure standing alone near a metal archway. It was a girl, an alien girl. She had glowing blue skin, silver white hair that shimmered under the lights, and eyes that looked both innocent and full of secrets. Unlike the others, she was not laughing or busy. She stood still, as if lost. In thought, her hands close to her chest, Daniel felt curious. He was lost in this part of the station and needed directions. Maybe she could help. He walked closer, trying to look friendly, his steps echoing softly on the metal floor. "Excuse me," Daniel said, his voice gentle. "Can you tell me the way to the central hall?" The girl lifted her eyes to him, and in that instant, everything changed. Her eyes widened, her lips trembled, and her whole body froze. She looked at him as if she had just seen a ghost. Daniel stopped, confused. He raised his hand slowly to show he meant no harm. "It's okay," he said softly. "I just want to ask something." But before he could say another word, the alien girl gasped loudly, her voice trembling with fear. Her hand flew to her mouth, and then she screamed, the sound echoing through the corridor. "A human, she cried, her voice sharp and full of terror. Her scream pierced the busy station. Aliens turned their heads, eyes wide with shock. Some froze in place, others stepped back in fear. The sound of her words spread like fire, and the once busy corridor became silent except for her cries. Daniel took a step back, his heart racing. He could not understand what was happening. Why was she so afraid of him? He had done nothing wrong. He only wanted to ask a simple question. The girl's legs shook, but then she turned and ran. She sprinted through the crowd, pushing past others, her silver hair flying behind her. Her voice still echoed in the air. A human. Daniel stood frozen, watching her disappear into the distance. Around him, the aliens stared. Their eyes were filled with the same fear the girl had shown. Some whispered in their own language. Others slowly backed away, giving him space as if he were dangerous. His chest tightened. He looked around at the many alien faces, all watching him with suspicion, with fear. The air felt heavy, pressing down on him. What is going on? He whispered to himself. Why are they all so afraid? He tried to take a step forward, but the crowd moved back even more. Parents pulled their children closer. Merchants closed their stalls. A heavy silence spread, broken only by the sound of alarms in the distance. Daniel's mind raced. He had heard stories before, rumors that some alien species saw humans as dangerous. But he had never believed it could be this bad. To see fear in their eyes, to hear the girl scream as if he were a monster, was something he had never expected. He clenched his fists, trying to stay calm. Running away now would only make him look guilty. But staying in the middle of the corridor, surrounded by eyes filled with fear, made him feel like a trapped animal. Suddenly, a voice came from behind him. "Human, step away." Daniel turned and saw 2 alien guards in armored suits. Their weapons glowed with blue light, and their eyes were sharp. They did not attack, but their hands stayed close to their weapons. "We do not want trouble," one of them said firmly. But your presence has caused fear. Leave this place." Daniel swallowed hard. His throat felt dry. He wanted to explain, to tell them he had done nothing wrong, but he saw in their eyes that they would not listen. Slowly, he nodded. "I understand." The guards gestured for him to walk. The crowd parted quickly, as if afraid to be near him. Daniel walked with heavy steps, his mind full of questions. Why had the girl screamed like that? Why did the aliens see humans as a threat? What dark story made them fear his kind so deeply? As he left the corridor, one thought burned in his mind. He needed to find that girl again. She was the key to the truth. Her scream was not just fear, it was a warning, a clue, a door to a mystery he had to uncover. And so, with confusion in his heart and determination in his eyes, Daniel walked deeper into the unknown, not knowing that this encounter was only the beginning of a story that would change everything. Daniel walked slowly through the long corridor, the guard's footsteps echoing behind him. The alien girl's scream still rang in his ears. A human. A human. The words cut deep into his mind. He had asked a simple question, yet her reaction was full of horror, as if he were a nightmare come alive. The station, once full of noise and laughter, now felt different. Everywhere he went, eyes followed him. Groups of aliens whispered, their voices low but sharp. Mothers held their children close, pulling them away whenever Daniel walked near. Merchants closed their stalls as if he might destroy everything, just by passing. Daniel lowered his head, but he kept walking. The air felt heavy, and his heart beat fast. He could not escape the stares. Every step reminded him that he was a stranger, here unwanted, distrusted, and feared. At a corner, he stopped near a large window that looked out into space. Stars glowed like tiny candles in the darkness. For a moment, he pressed his hand against the glass, trying to calm himself. But his reflection showed only worry and confusion. "What is happening here?" he whispered to himself. "Why do they look at me like this? What do they think I am?" A small group of aliens passed nearby. Daniel caught pieces of their whispers. Dangerous. The old stories were true. Why is a human here? Their words stung. Daniel's fists tightened. He wanted to shout at them, to tell them he was not dangerous, that he was just a man who wanted peace. But deep inside, he knew. Yelling would only make things worse. He turned and began walking again. The guards had left, but the weight of fear remained. The corridors twisted like a maze, and Daniel soon realized he was lost again. At the end of a narrow passage, he saw an old alien sitting on a bench. The alien's skin was pale green, his back bent, and his eyes tired. Unlike the others, he did not look away when Daniel approached. Daniel hesitated, then spoke softly. "Can you tell me, why are they all afraid of me?" The old alien raised his head slowly. His voice was rough, as if every word cost him effort. "Because you are human." Daniel frowned. "But why? What have I done?" "I only came here to trade, to learn, to meet new people." The alien shook his head. "It is not what you have done. 'Tis what your kind has done." Daniel's heart pounded. "What do you mean?" The old alien looked around carefully, making sure no one was listening. Then he leaned closer. "Long ago, before you were born, before I was born, our people told stories about humans. Stories of fire, war, and destruction. They said humans came to planets, took what they wanted, and left ruins behind." Daniel stepped back in shock. That can't be true. Humans are not like that. The alien's eyes were sad. "Maybe not you. Maybe not now. But stories have power. Stories are passed from parent to child, from elder to youth, for generations. My people have been told, fear the humans, for they bring only chaos." Daniel felt a chill in his chest. Could this be why the girl screamed? Was she raised to believe he was a monster? But those are just stories, Daniel said firmly. They can't all be true. I have never harmed anyone. The alien nodded. Slowly, I believe you. But belief is rare here. Most will not listen. They see your face, and they see the ghosts of the past. Daniel sat beside him, his hands shaking. Then, how do I change it? How do I prove I'm not what they think? I am. The old alien looked at him with tired eyes. Find the girl who screamed. She is young, but her voice carries weight. If she learns the truth about you, others may follow. But be warned, human, the path will not be easy. Fear is stronger than reason. Daniel's eyes narrowed with determination. Then I'll find her. I need to know why she screamed, and I need to show her I am not her enemy. The old alien gave a faint smile. Be careful. Curiosity can be dangerous. Some may not want the truth to be known. Daniel stood and thanked him, then walked away. His steps were heavy, but his mind burned with purpose. The girl was the key. Her scream was not just fear, it was the beginning of something bigger. As he moved deeper into the station, the whispers grew louder. Aliens stepped aside, muttering as he passed. Why is he still here? They should send him away. Humans bring death. Daniel clenched his jaw, but kept moving. He would not run. He would not hide. He needed answers. And he would not stop until he found them. At last, he reached a quiet sector of the station where the lights were dim and the air was cold. He stopped and listened. Somewhere in the shadows, he thought he heard footsteps, light, quick, nervous. His heart leaped. Could it be her, the girl who had screamed? Daniel took a slow breath and followed the sound. Daniel walked carefully down the dim corridor, following the faint sound of footsteps. His heart beat faster with each step. The air was cold, and the walls seemed to close in on him. The station, which had once looked so alive and colorful, now felt like a trap of silence and shadows. He turned a corner quickly, but the sound vanished. The corridor was empty. Only the soft hum of machines filled the silence. Daniel stopped and listened again, but there was nothing, just stillness. Was it her? He whispered to himself. Or am I chasing shadows? He leaned against the wall, running a hand through his hair. The girl was out there somewhere. She held the answers he needed, yet she ran every time she saw him. Fear kept her away. Fear he did not understand. As Daniel stood thinking, a voice came from behind. Human, you should not be here. Daniel spun around. A tall alien in long robes stood in the hallway. His skin was pale blue, his face wrinkled with age, and his eyes sharp and knowing. He carried no weapon, yet his presence alone was heavy with authority. Who are you? Daniel asked carefully. The alien tilted his head. I am Elder Kareth, and you are the human who caused panic in the marketplace. Daniel clenched his fists. I didn't cause anything. Only asked a question. She's the one who screamed. Kareth's eyes narrowed. Yes, she screamed because she saw you. Do you not understand what you are? I'm human, Daniel said firmly. That's all. Just a man trying to survive in this galaxy. The elder stepped closer, his voice low and cold. To you, perhaps. But to us, you are a shadow of the past. A reminder of what once was. Daniel frowned. What once was? What are you talking about? Kareth looked around the empty corridor as if making sure no one was listening. Then he said slowly, there are stories, old stories, told to every child of our people. Stories of humans who came long ago. They did not bring peace. They brought fire. They brought ruin. Worlds fell because of them. Daniel shook his head. That's impossible. Humans never came here before. At least, not that I know of. The elder's eyes hardened. You think history forgets so easily? No, human. We remember, and that is why she screamed. Daniel's chest grew tight. But those are just stories, legends. You can't believe I'm guilty of something that happened generations ago. Kareth leaned closer, his voice a whisper. Stories shape belief. Belief shapes fear. And fear shapes reality. To our people, the sight of a human is like seeing death itself walk through the halls. Daniel's hands shook. He wanted to argue, but deep inside, he knew the elders spoke the truth, at least about their fear. The girl had not screamed because of him personally. She had screamed because of what he represented. Then tell me, Daniel said, his voice steady. How do I change it? How do I prove I'm not the monster you believe I am? The elder's expression darkened. You cannot. Not easily. Fear is stronger than reason. The girl will not trust you. The people will not listen. The leaders will never allow it. Why not? Daniel asked sharply. If the truth is wrong, shouldn't it be challenged? Kareth's eyes burned with warning. Be careful, human. Asking questions can be dangerous. Some truths are forbidden for a reason. Daniel took a step closer. Then maybe I need those forbidden truths. Because if I don't understand, I'll never survive here. For a moment, silence hung heavy between them. Then the elder gave a long sigh. You are bold, perhaps too bold, but listen well. The girl who screamed her name is Lyra. She is young, but her visions are strong. She sees humans in her dreams. Dreams of war, of burning skies, of endless cries for mercy. These visions are why her people fear you. They believe she speaks the truth of the past. Daniel's eyes widened. Visions? You mean she doesn't know for sure? She knows what she has been told, Kareth said firmly. And what? She sees when she closes her eyes. To her and to her people, that is truth enough. Daniel's mind spun. If Lyra's visions were only dreams, and maybe they were not history, at all maybe they were lies, planted to control her. He looked into Kareth's eyes. Do you believe them? The elder was silent for a long moment. His face was unreadable. Finally, he said, Belief is dangerous. I have seen humans today, and you do not match the monsters of the stories. But whether I believe or not does not matter. The people will never forget their fear. Daniel stepped back. His jaw tightened. Then I'll prove them wrong. I'll find Lyra, and I'll show her what I really am. Not with words, but with actions. Kareth's face grew grave. If you follow this path, you will be hunted. Some want fear to remain. Some want humans to always be monsters. They will not let you change the story. Then let them try. Daniel said firmly, I won't give up. The elder studied him for a long moment, then finally turned away. Then may the stars protect you, human. You will need more than courage. Daniel watched him leave, his heart heavy but his spirit burning with determination. He now had a name, Lyra, the girl who screamed. The girl who held the key to the truth. As he walked deeper into the station, whispers still followed him. But this time, Daniel did not lower his head. He walked with purpose. He was no monster, and he would prove it even if the entire galaxy stood against him. Daniel's boots echoed against the metal floor as he walked with determination. The name burned in his mind, Lyra. Finally, he knew who the alien girl was. The one who screamed in terror at the sight of him. If he wanted answers, he had to find her. She held the key to the fear, the whispers, and the heavy silence that followed him everywhere on the station. But finding her was not easy. Every corridor was filled with watchful eyes. Aliens stopped their conversations whenever Daniel walked by. Some turned away, pretending not to see him, while others whispered harsh words under their breath. It was clear that his presence alone was a storm that unsettled the entire station. He moved through the crowded markets, his eyes scanning every face. He remembered her silver-white hair, glowing under the station lights. He remembered her voice, trembling with fear. A human. Human. The memory cut through him like a blade. Suddenly, he caught a glimpse of her. At the far end of the market, near a vendor's stall, stood Lyra. Her back was turned, but Daniel recognized her immediately. His breath quickened. This was his chance. Lyra. He called out, his voice firm but gentle. She froze. Slowly, she turned her head, her wide eyes locking on him. For a moment, time seemed to stop. Then, just as quickly as before, her face filled with terror. She gasped and spun around, running into the crowd. "Wait," Daniel shouted, pushing past merchants and customers. "I just want to talk." But Lyra did not stop. She darted through the maze of stalls, her silver hair flying behind her. The market erupted in panic as people saw the human chasing the girl. Aliens scrambled out of the way, knocking over crates and baskets. Fruits rolled across the floor. Voices rose in alarm. Daniel forced himself forward, his legs burning, his chest tight with effort. Lyra was fast, weaving through narrow alleys and slipping past others with ease. But he was determined not to lose her. At one point, she ducked into a narrow passage. Daniel followed, his footsteps loud against the silence. The walls closed in around him, and the air grew colder. Lyra glanced back, her breathing ragged, her face pale with fear. "Please," Daniel called out, his voice softer this time. "I'm not here to hurt you." Lyra shook her head, her eyes full of tears. "Stay away. You're human. You bring death." Her words cut deep. Daniel's chest ached, but he kept going. "That's not true. I don't want to harm anyone. I just need to understand." Lyra stumbled, her foot catching against the floor. She nearly fell, but caught herself, her hands shaking. For a moment, Daniel thought he might reach her, but she pushed herself forward again, desperate to escape. The chase carried them into a darker section of the station, where the lights flickered weakly. Shadows stretched across the walls, and the sound of machinery groaned in the distance. It felt like a forgotten place, abandoned and empty. Lyra stopped suddenly, her back against a locked door. She looked around, realizing there was no way out. Her chest rose and fell rapidly, her breaths shallow and panicked. Her hands pressed against the cold metal behind her as Daniel slowly approached. "Please," Daniel said softly, raising his hands to show he had no weapon. His voice was calm, steady. "I just want to talk. I need to know why you screamed, why you're so afraid." Lyra shook her head violently, her eyes shining with tears. "You don't understand. Humans destroy everything. My people told me. My visions showed me. Fire, war, screams in the dark. You are the monsters in the stories." Daniel stopped a few steps away, giving her space. His heart ached at her words, but he kept his voice gentle. "I'm not a monster. I'm not here to destroy anything. I've never started a war. I've never hurt your people." Lyra pressed her hands against her ears, shaking. No, I can't believe you. The stories? They said if I ever saw a human, I must run. I must warn others." Daniel's voice broke. "Is that why you screamed? Because of stories?" Her lips trembled, and she whispered, "Not only stories. Visions too. Since I was a child, I saw them. Humans burning our cities. Humans laughing as we fell. I saw your face in the flames." Daniel's eyes widened. "Visions? You dreamed of me?" Lyra nodded weakly, tears falling. Yes, you are the face from the dreams. The one who brings ruin. For a moment, Daniel could not speak. His hands trembled at his sides. Was it possible that her visions were only fear twisted into lies? Or was there something deeper, something hidden in the past that he did not know? Finally, he stepped closer, his voice calm. Lyra, dreams are not always truth. Sometimes they're just fear, made alive in the mind. I don't know what you saw, but I'm not here to hurt you. I want to prove it. I want to show you that I'm not your enemy. Lyra looked at him, her eyes still wide with fear, but for the first time, there was also doubt. Her breathing slowed just a little, her body trembling less. But before either of them could speak again, loud footsteps echoed from behind. Guards stormed into the corridor, their glowing weapons raised. There he is, one shouted. The human is threatening the girl. Lyra gasped, her fear returning. The guards advanced, their eyes full of hostility. Daniel raised his hands in frustration. No, that's not what happened. I didn't hurt her. But no one listened. The watt outer the guards' weapons glowed as they stepped closer. Their sharp voices filled the narrow corridor. Move away from her, human. One shouted, she is terrified because of you. Leave her now. Daniel froze. His hands were already raised. But anger burned inside him. I wasn't threatening her. I just wanted to talk. The guards didn't listen. Their eyes were full of the same fear Daniel had seen in the crowd. Lyra pressed herself against the wall, trembling as the situation grew worse. Please, Daniel said firmly, his voice rising. You don't understand. I need to speak with her. She knows something important. One of the guards snarled. Silence. You think your tricks will work on us? We know what humans are. Step away, or we'll force you. Daniel's fists clenched. He wanted to fight, but he forced himself to stay calm. If he resisted, it would only prove their fear, right? Lyra's voice suddenly broke through the tension. Wait, she cried, her voice trembling. The guard stopped and looked at her. Lyra swallowed hard, her eyes darting between Daniel and the soldiers. He didn't hurt me. He chased me, yes, but he didn't strike me. The guards looked uncertain. One lowered his weapon slightly, but the other kept it raised. Are you sure, Lyra? You screamed. You called for help. Lyra hesitated, her hands trembling. She nodded slowly.
Yes.
I screamed. Because of fear. But he didn't harm me. Daniel's heart pounded. It was the first time she had admitted he wasn't a threat. A small step, but it meant everything. The guards exchanged glances. Finally, one sighed and lowered his weapon. Very well. We'll be watching him. They turned and left, muttering about humans bringing trouble. The corridor fell silent. Again, Daniel exhaled, lowering his hands. His eyes met Lyra's, and for a long moment, neither spoke. Finally, Daniel whispered, "Thank you for telling the truth." Lyra looked down, her voice soft. "Don't thank me. I still fear you." Daniel took a careful step closer. "Then, let me ask you something. Why? Why do you fear me so much? What is it that makes you scream when you see me?" Lyra's lips trembled. She pressed her hands together, as if holding something fragile. "Since I was small, I have seen them. The dreams, the visions, flames, cities burning, my people falling to the ground, begging for mercy. And always, always, a human stood." Among the fire, Daniel's chest tightened. "A human? You mean me?" Lyra looked up, her eyes wet with tears. "Yes, your face. Not exactly the same, but close enough. Every time I saw you, I knew you were the one from the visions." Daniel's hands shook at his sides. "But dreams aren't always true. They can be illusions, fears made alive. Why do you believe them?" Lyra's voice cracked. Because the elders told me they were not just dreams. They were memories of the past. My bloodline, my family, was given the curse of remembering what humans did. They told me I carry those memories, that I must never trust your kind. Daniel's eyes widened. Memories, you mean? Told you the visions are history. She nodded weakly. Yes, they said long ago, humans brought destruction. They said I am chosen to see it, to remind our people never to forget. That is why when I saw you, my heart screamed before my voice. Did? I thought the nightmare had returned. Daniel took another step closer, his voice soft. And do you believe them? Do you truly believe I'm the same as the monster in your visions? Lyra's eyes flickered. Fear still lived there, but something else to doubt. I don't. No, Daniel lowered himself slowly, sitting on the cold floor across from her. His voice was gentle, steady, almost pleading. Lyra, I have never destroyed a city. I have never set fire to a world. I am only one man, far from home, trying to survive. Do I look like the monster from your dreams? Lyra stared at him. Breath trembled. Her mind battled between what she had been told and what she saw now. For years, she believed the visions without question. But the man in front of her was calm, desperate only to be understood, not cruel, not violent. Her hands shook as she whispered, "You don't." Daniel felt a small relief wash over him. It wasn't trust, not yet, but it was a crack in the wall of fear. He leaned forward slightly. Then let me prove it. Let me show you that I am not who you think I am. Give me a chance, Lyra. Lyra closed her eyes, tears slipping down her cheeks. If I give you that chance, and you are lying, then I have betrayed my people. Daniel's voice was steady. And if you never give me that chance, then you will never know the truth. You'll always live with fear. Silence filled the corridor. Only the hum of the station's machinery echoed in the background. Finally, Lyra opened her eyes. She didn't smile. She didn't relax. But her voice was softer when she spoke. One chance, she whispered. I'll listen, but only once. Daniel nodded, his chest heavy with relief. That's all I ask. For the first time since the chase began, Lyra didn't run. She stayed, trembling, but still. Daniel knew the path ahead would not be easy. Fear was strong, and lies were powerful. But now he had something he didn't before: her willingness to listen. And in that fragile moment, Daniel realized something. The truth wasn't hidden in the visions or the stories. The truth was in Lyra herself. If he could reach her heart, he could change everything. Ispers had turned into the corridor, felt strangely quiet after Lyra's words. One chance. That was all Daniel had. One chance to prove he was not the monster of her visions. He rose slowly from the floor, careful not to startle her. Lyra kept her back against the wall, her hands still trembling, but she didn't run. Her wide eyes followed his every move. Come with me, Daniel said gently. I want to show you something. Not with words, but with actions. Lyra hesitated. Her instincts screamed for her to refuse. The stories of humans, the images of fire and destruction, were burned deep into her heart. But there was also something else, a small, quiet voice inside her that said, maybe he isn't what you believe. That voice was enough to make her nod, just once. Daniel smiled softly, though his chest was tight with nerves. Thank you. He led her carefully through the station, keeping his pace slow so she wouldn't feel chased. Aliens they passed stopped to stare. Their whispers followed them like shadows. Why is she with him? She should run. Humans cannot be trusted. Lyra's face flushed with shame and fear. She wanted to shrink into the floor, but Daniel kept walking calmly, his shoulders squared, his steps steady. He would not let their fear control him. Finally, they reached a quiet chamber near the human section of the station. Daniel stopped and turned to her. "Wait here," he said softly, then stepped inside. Lyra hesitated before following. What she saw made her pause in confusion. The room was small and plain, with a simple bed, a desk, and a few items neatly placed on the shelves. Nothing looked dangerous. On the desk lay a small picture of a family. Two parents smiling with a child between them. Daniel picked up the picture and held it out to her. "This is my family, my home. They are the reason I keep moving forward. Do they look like monsters to you?" Lyra's eyes softened as she stared at the photo. The people in it looked warm, happy, and full of love. They were nothing like the figures in her visions. Daniel continued, his voice low and honest. "I don't want war. I don't want fire. Only want to live, to explore, to meet others without fear. That's all." Lyra bit her lip, fighting the battle in her mind. The visions screamed at her to run. But the picture in her hands whispered another truth, that humans were not only fighters, but also lovers, dreamers, families. Suddenly, the door hissed open. Two figures stepped inside. Elders in dark robes, their faces stern and cold. Lyra froze, her heart racing. "Lyra," one of them said sharply, ignoring Daniel. "Step away from him. This is dangerous." Lyra clutched the photo to her chest. "He hasn't harmed me," she whispered. The elder's eyes narrowed. "Not yet, but he will. Just as the stories told us. Just as your visions warned us. He cannot be trusted." Daniel stepped forward, anger flashing in his eyes. "I am not your enemy. You've all been poisoned by fear for too long." The elder raised his voice. "Silence. Your kind destroyed. Worlds, we will not let you poison her mind as well. Come with us now." Lyra shook her head slowly, her hands trembling. "But what if the visions are wrong?" The elders' faces hardened, their voices cold. "The visions are our truth. To doubt them is to betray your people." Shouts and the chase had only made things worse. Daniel looked at Lyra, his voice soft but steady. "This is your choice. You can believe fear and live in its shadow forever, or you can see with your own eyes. Trust what you feel, not what you are told." Lyra's chest rose and fell quickly. She looked from the elders to Daniel, torn between the voices of tradition and the fragile truth she had seen in his kindness. The elders reached for her arm. "Come now." But Lyra stepped back. "No. I need to see for myself." The elder's eyes darkened with anger. "You foolish child. He has tricked you already." Daniel clenched his fists but kept his voice calm. "No tricks. Just honesty." "Duh." Elders glared at him. "You will regret this." Then, with robes swirling, they turned and stormed out, leaving only a warning in the air. The room fell silent again. Lyra's legs trembled as she sank onto the bed, still clutching the photo. Her eyes met Daniel's, full of fear but also something new courage. "I don't know what to believe anymore," she whispered. "All my life I thought I carried the truth. But now I see something different. You don't look like the monster from my dreams." Daniel knelt beside her, his voice gentle. "That's because I'm not. I can't erase the stories, Lyra. I can't erase the fear. But I can show you who I really am." Lyra closed her eyes, breathing deeply. For the first time, she didn't feel like running. Instead, she felt the weight of choice pressing down on her. The truth wasn't simple, was hidden behind lies, visions, and fear. But she knew one thing. If she didn't give Daniel this chance, she might never know the real truth at all. And so, with shaky breath, Lyra whispered. Then show me. Show me who you are. Daniel nodded. A faint smile touched his lips. I will. But even as he promised, he knew the path ahead was dangerous. The elders would not let this continue. Fear was powerful, and those who fed on fear would not give it up easily. Still, as he looked into Lyra's uncertain eyes, Daniel felt hope for the first time since her scream had shattered the marketplace. Days passed after Lyra agreed to give Daniel a chance. She visited him in secret, always afraid of being seen, but unable to stay away. Each time, Daniel showed her something small, something human. He cooked a simple meal with ingredients from the station market and shared it with her. She had never tasted food prepared with such care. It was warm, not just in flavor, but in meaning. He told her stories of his home, of laughter under the sun, of music and celebration. His words painted pictures of a people who could love as deeply as any alien could. Lyra listened, torn between the fear she had always carried and the new truth unfolding before her eyes. But the elders were not blind. They watched from the shadows, whispering among themselves. Daniel's presence had already shaken the station, and now Lyra's hesitation threatened everything. One evening, as Daniel was speaking softly about his family, the door burst open. Guards and elders stormed in, their eyes sharp with anger. Enough. One elder shouted, "This ends now. Lyra, you have betrayed your people. You've allowed the human to poison your mind." Lyra stood quickly, her heart racing. "No, I've only listened. And what I heard was not poison. It was truth." The elder's face darkened. "Truth. A tease. Lies are not truth. Your visions showed us what humans are. We cannot forget the past." Daniel stepped forward, his voice calm but strong. "You keep telling her what to believe. But belief should be her choice. Let her decide for herself." The guards aimed their glowing weapons at him, but Daniel did not flinch. His eyes were fixed on Lyra. "This is your moment," he said softly, "not mine. Do you believe I am the monster from your visions, or do you believe what you've seen with your own eyes?" The room fell silent. Everyone watched Lyra. The girl who had screamed in terror days ago now stood at the center of a storm. Her heart pounded, her throat tight, but she remembered the warmth of his food, the kindness in his stories, the picture of his smiling family. She remembered the way he had chased her, not with hate, but with desperation to be understood. Lyra raised her voice, her words trembling but clear. "The visions showed me humans as destroyers, but he has shown me something else. He showed me kindness. He showed me love. He is not the monster from my dreams." Gasps filled the chamber. The elders' faces twisted with rage, but the guards hesitated. Whispers rippled through them, doubt, questions, cracks in the wall of fear. Lyra continued, her voice stronger. "All my life I was told to run if I saw a human. I believed the stories, believed the fear. But fear is not truth. Fear is chains. And I will not live in chains anymore." Daniel's chest swelled with pride and relief. Lyra had spoken the words he could never force from her lips. The elder slammed his staff against the ground. "Foolish child. You have doomed us all." But Lyra shook her head. "No. Perhaps I have saved us. We continue to see humans only as monsters. We will never know peace. We will never know friendship. We will never see the truth with our own eyes." The guards lowered their weapons slightly. Some exchanged uneasy glances. The power of the elder's fear was breaking. Daniel stepped closer, his voice steady. "I don't ask for trust from all of you. Not yet. I only ask for a chance. Let my actions speak, not your old stories." Silence filled the room again. Then, slowly, one guard stepped back, lowering his weapon completely. Another followed. The tension in the chamber loosened like a rope cut free. The elders glared at Lyra and Daniel, their power slipping through their fingers. They turned sharply, their robes swaying, and stormed out. Their voices echoed down the hall, full of anger and threats. But they did not stop Lyra's words from spreading. In the days that followed, whispers of fear slowly turned into whispers of curiosity. Some aliens still avoided Daniel, but others began to watch him without the same terror in their eyes. A few even dared to speak with him, and Lyra, once the girl who screamed in panic at the sight of him, now walked at his side. She still carried fear in her heart, but it was no longer the fear of him. It was the fear of the fight ahead, the battle against lies and tradition. But she had chosen her path. One evening, as they looked out through the station's great window at the stars, Lyra spoke softly. "Do you know why I screamed when I first saw you?" Daniel smiled faintly. "Because of the visions." Lyra shook her head. "Not only that. It was because I thought I already knew you. I thought I knew what you were, but I was wrong." Daniel looked at her, his voice gentle. "And now?" She smiled weakly, her silver hair glowing in the starlight. "Now I know better. You're human, not a monster, not a nightmare, just human." Daniel's heart ached at her words, but in a good way. For the first time, he felt hope not just for himself, but for all of humanity. If Lyra could see the truth, then maybe others could too. And in that quiet moment, as the stars stretched endlessly before them, Daniel realized something. Humanity's greatest strength was not power, not fire, not fear. It was compassion, and compassion could change the galaxy.